Eric is a man of movement, rhythm, and deep intuition, a world-class trainer, performer, and someone who has helped me reconnect it with my body, my breath, and my being when I didn't even know how, when I felt lost, when I was scared shitless. In this episode, we'll talk about resilience in the body, awakening through struggle, and the grace of having someone walk beside you when you're unsure of your next step. This isn't just a conversation. It's a thank you, a testimony, and a celebration. So let's take a deep breath and let's begin. Hey, Eric, how you doing today?
Hey, Jerome, my man, what's going on?
Man, I'm so glad to be here with you. This
Oh,
is
likewise, and I'm glad you're here. Yeah, let me get that out right on the top. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad that I'm here too. I'm glad that we're here together. And I'm so appreciative of this journey that we've been on for the last, 14 years? And this journey started out with a real funny story. A friend of mine, former business partner, John Fisher, asked me to come check Eric's training out because we were looking for trainers for our basketball players. And I had been searching and trying to find my whatchamacallit for trainers because there are a lot of trainers. And personally, I had employed trainers for my own self regarding enhancing my golf game. And a lot of the trainers were decent. They were good. I did some trainers at Gold's Gym and other places. So I go down to Eric's gym and I go upstairs, not knowing what I'm going to expect. And I walk in and Eric's working with one of the players. And within 30 to 45 seconds, I look to John and I nod. This is the guy. I found my whatchamacallit. I found the whatchamacallit. This is the guy. This is the widget. We have the widget. And so so we
I've been called worse.
so we went on. He finished the training with the person. And I couldn't wait. I was like, come on, get through this guy. I got questions for you that have nothing to do with this player. And I said, hey, great meeting you. And hey, by the way, do you train golfers? And he says, yeah. And that started our journey. And little did I
Yeah.
know that it was going to go beyond golf, that it was going to take on a whole different avenue. It took me on a whole different road and how critical this beginning relationship with Eric was going to be. Eric, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your background. You have a very interesting background. You've been a policeman, you've been a postal worker, you've been a DJ. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I always said anything that I think I'm interested in, I try it. So I've had probably, I don't know, 50 jobs over my lifetime. Things that seem cool. I said, let me go check it out, see how it is. And I've been a police officer. I've delivered mail. I've worked at morning radio right here in Los Angeles, country music radio. I've been a producer, engineered a couple sports talk shows and did a lot of different stuff. Track athlete personally, though. I ran middle distances like yourself. I ran middle distances in high school. Went to high school right here, Washington High School. And also I ran in college, Cal State LA, 800 meters mostly, but I've always been interested in a lot of different things. And I've always wanted to coach people and train people, but not exactly the way it was being done.
Mm-hmm.
So when I found out that I could personally train people and do things the way that I would do and put my own spin on it, I've had a lot of jobs. I like to say that, but this is the last one right here. This is the last thing for me. This is my life right here. This is what I've been looking for a long time. And I've been here doing this in some form or fashion about 25 years.
Yeah. What I heard you say there is you found your whatchamacallit. You found the thing that
I found my whatchamacallit and I'm all over it. I'm sticking with it, man.
yeah, you're all yeah. Trust me, folks, Eric's all in. And his flexibility to work with each individual. Eric works with both myself and my wife. And if you ever saw us train together, there's once a week we train together and then we train separately. And when Eric trains us both, he's doing two different basic approaches with two different individuals, uniquely different. and basically meeting our needs. And it reminds me of a story that Ram Dass, who was a spiritual guide who passed away, I forgot how many years ago, but he did a great episode on golf. And he talked about a guy who goes in to get a suit, and the guy gets a suit made by this tailor. He comes back to the tailor and says, "Hey, I got the suit. The sleeves are too long." So the tailor adjusts his shoulder and says, "No, it is. It fits now, right? Okay." He goes home. His wife says, "Yeah, but the collar's out of whack. It's all out of whack." He goes, "Okay, let me go back to the tailor." Goes back to the tailor. The tailor then adjusts his neck. "Yeah, it fits now, right?" And the guy goes, "Okay." So the guy gets on the bus going home, and someone on the bus says, "Hey, that's a suit made by John." He goes, "Huh, how could you tell?" He goes, "I can tell. He always makes suits that fits him." So it's like the whole idea of your approach is you don't try to make the suit fit the body.
No,
You try to make the body do what it needs to do.
absolutely. And the thing that I try to keep in mind is that every single person that comes across, that I get to work with, everything that they've ever done in their life has created the person that they are at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And not just, it's everything physical, it's everything mental, it's everything spiritual. Everything they've done leading up to that moment is what makes them what they are and where they are. And
Mm-hmm.
so obviously that means no two people are the same. Now,
Right.
as a species, we're more alike than we're different,
Mm-hmm.
but there are differences that need to be respected. And so those are the things that I try to take into account as much as possible when working with people.
No. How do you listen to someone's body before they even know what it's saying? You have this special, unique viewfinder. I know that there's times I walk in the gym and I can see in your eyes and your head, well, what I thought we were going to do with Jerome today, we're actually not
Yeah,
going to do because I'm watching him walk and I
right,
need to make an adjustment.
right.
How
Well,
do
I
you?
try to say it's not special because it has to be something that's teachable and repeatable.
Mm,
So what I really do now, when I'm first take a look at you, I mean, there are days that you get here and you don't know, and I'm upstairs, I'm looking out the window, I'm watching you get out of the car. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm already, you don't know that. You don't need to know that. But I quite often will watch people when they're not even with me yet. Sometimes that's going to tell me a lot more than once they get in here and I start asking questions and I'm looking at your overall mood, your body language, the way that you move. Not only the way that you move overall, but what is different about the ways that you're moving that day. So I try to look at and take into account the way you move, your spirit that day. You're limping a little bit more. And of course, we're going to do some assessing once you come in. I'm going to always ask you questions. But the very first thing I like to do is to see what you're doing when you don't know I'm looking.
Right. That's what makes you so unique from my experience, and that I've never had a trainer that was able to do that. And like you, I ran track in high school and college.
Hmm.
And as you know, you do, in the middle distance, long distance, you do a lot of reps and
Yeah.
the ability to read how the body's doing. So you said one time that movement is medicine. What do you mean by that?
Okay. If we really didn't have a need to move, we really wouldn't, we probably wouldn't need the brain. Okay. Our brain is here to help us obviously stay alive, figure things out, and to move. But when I say movement is medicine, when I'm going to work with you, I'm going to try to give you the right thing that for you that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that depends on what your goals are and what, we have already set forth as why you're here. And part of knowing what to do is knowing the right thing and the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about medicine, I think about, let's say, for instance, aspirin
Mm-hmm.
or penicillin. Somebody, penicillin, whatever they got, it's going to fix it. It's going to make them great.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else can have the exact same thing, but they're allergic to it.
Mm.
It's not going to work. So a lot of times people go, is that a good exercise? Is that a good? Well, it just depends on what is the goal, the person, and the day. Because something that could be great for you on Wednesday, you can come in on Thursday, no good.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing that, already knowing that that's a thing, but then also being able to have a way of measuring that is also is critical.
Did you see in my recovery process that I couldn't see yet, but you brought to light? What was that?
Well, the first thing is when I look at exercise, I'm looking at one thing, and when I'm looking at training, so I'm using the word exercise, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at training, and we're talking your spirit, the style that you move in. The very first thing that I have to honor is that the human body and each person, the number one priority is to stay alive. And I mean, that's number one priority. So whether we know it or not, our body is going to do things to try to keep us alive in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, in your case, you have some bouts of dizziness,
Mm-hmm.
and there were things that your body just didn't want to do. So what that meant was your brain did not feel safe doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people think, just push through it or do this or do that. But the very first thing that I had to do with you, and so it's not really that unique to you because no matter where someone is, we have to do things to eliminate threat,
Mm-hmm.
to make the body feel safe. If the body doesn't feel safe, it's not going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have these issues that are coming out and your body's afraid, how do we tone down the fear? That's so you were in a state your body was really afraid. It said, man, we're here and how do we stay here another 5 minutes? It was constantly in that threat mode. And so what we had to do is just figure out day by day, minute to minute, how to dampen those feelings of threat.
Yeah. Yeah, what Eric's talking about is not only did I have the near-death experience where, as I've said in some of my other podcasts, and you can check it out on YouTube on the JeromeGreenCoaching.com. So I not only had the near-death experience, which happened in June of last year, I had these bouts with vertigo. And it seemed like the vertigo, I was having it like 2 or 3 weeks after the near-death experience, after I had the issues with the dye that they put in my body to do the MRI. And so I was in super threat. I just turning my head one way or the other was freaking scary. And I would lay down at night and wonder if I was going to wake up dizzy. And anybody who's experienced vertigo, it feels like your whole world is spinning, like you're on an axis and it's like everything's spinning around. It's a very frightening, scary thought. And Eric had to work with me on just adapting to what was going on for me in that day. I remember one time we were in the gym and we were working, and I had about a month of recovery. Everything was good. And we started doing exercise, and all of a sudden I got dizzy. And so we had to adjust. And what I love about what Eric was able to do, has been able to do with me, is constantly go on this journey of discovery about how do you adapt to what's going on in Jerome's body and what can we learn about Jerome's body that we can apply to get him better. Eric, talk a little bit about your idea of the wellness bubble and squeezing the right bubble at the right time.
Okay, so that's a concept that I use to say that here you are. How do you feel? And we know that there are certain things that can definitely impact the way that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to just look at really basic things. Are you sustaining? Are you hydrating well?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting a healthy amount of sunlight every day? Are you making sure you check off your sleep? Are you moving enough to let your brain and body know that you're actually alive and that movement is the goal?
Mhm.
These very, very basic things, breathing. So I like to say, the things that if you stop doing them, you die the fastest.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a hierarchy of an order that you can really start looking at what's important. For instance, let's try to make sure you're breathing well. Why do we pick breathing so high up on the ladder? Because if you stop breathing for a few minutes, you're dead. Okay? So breathing. Obviously, that is a very important thing in the whole hierarchy of being healthy. But after that, what can we look at? Oh, we can look at hydration, water. Everyone wants to talk about nutrition and food, but you could probably live without food for days and weeks. You're not going to live without water for weeks, not even a week, probably. So that makes me say, well, that's a hydration component. That's probably a higher priority than even food. So let's prioritize those things that when they're gone, you're gone.
Mhm.
So when looking at that order, let's work on your breathing. Let's make sure that your breathing is sustaining the activities that you want. Day to day, is it diaphragmatic? Are you getting all the air you need? Are you over breathing? Are you breathing 30 times in a minute, or is it more casual? So those are really simple things that can lower threat levels and get you healthier like that. And those are things that you can easily check. It's not expensive. It's just knowing that, oh, I want this pill, or I want to do this fancy exercise. And hey, man, are you breathing well?
Mhm.
Are you hydrating well? Oh, are you getting your sleep at night? I mean, those are givens. Those have to be taken care of before anything else can really be maximized. All the exercises and the swings and the lifting and the moving, all of that is extra. But those basic things need to be taken care of and constantly taken care of.
Yeah, you hit on some really key points. My breathing was a part of my recovery as I got my breathing better, and we started researching some things. I found out about vertigo and the vagus nerve and how to slow down the vertigo through breathing. So there's
Hmm.
not a day that goes by now over the past year where I don't activate the vagus nerve. Can you
Hmm.
talk a little bit about that for our listeners? Like, how can they do some simple things to activate that nerve? And what does that nerve do to the body?
We talk about lowering threat. It's
Mhm.
relaxation. It's taking you from fight or flight type of situation where you're just trying to stay alive
Mhm.
to more of what they will term as a rest and digest situation where you can actually prosper and you can actually recover. And some really simple things to activate. It's just you can do simple things just like even humming,
Mhm.
gargling. You can grab some water, throw some water in there, and that create that vibration effect. But really having a breathing practice where you can lie down
Mhm.
and do some simple breathing where you make sure, and you can pick a pattern for yourself. Like,
Mhm.
you can go with like 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds exhale. Try to make sure that your breathing is coming from the diaphragm more so than from the top part and the chest. But just really, really relaxation drills to kind of take you down. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like I say, humming, my singing, because my singing is bad and it's almost like humming. Uh, you can literally get some water
Yeah.
and just gargle it and let it just create that vibration that you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. What you just said, I recall my son and his fiance were visiting us for Christmas. And we were getting ready to, the next day, we are going to go play golf. That morning, I wake up around 5:30 a.m. and I get out of bed and all of a sudden, vertigo. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh. And I said, this is not going to take me out today. So I got up, I sat in a chair in the bedroom, and I
Hmm.
did 2 hours, uh, just 2 straight hours,
Hmm.
where by the time we were ready to go play golf, my dizziness had reduced enough where I could go play. I knew the
Hmm.
limitations. So my
Hmm.
son and my wife would put the ball in the ground for me, tee it up, and I would still be able to swing. And actually, I played very well. And during a whole round of golf, which was 18 holes, I did constant breathing exercise. I remember
Yeah.
speaking to you about that. And I said, Eric,
Mhm.
why is it that when I have these issues, it seems like my golf game is still good? Your response was magical. So tell the audience about what you told me about why my golf game, even when I was
Well,
in stress, worked.
because I know a lot of people and they golf and their golf game stresses them out and their swing and this and that. It makes them bad. It makes them nervous.
Uh-huh.
But for you, it's where you want to be,
Mhm.
and it becomes a moving meditation. Because once, if you can get out to that course, whether it's crawl or whatever, by hook or by crook, once you're there, that grass and those open spaces, but more than anything, that movement, that's the type of movement
Mhm.
that really speaks to you. And
Mhm.
so it's relaxation for you.
Mhm.
As competitive as it can be, it puts you in a space of happiness and relaxation. And so guess what that does for you? Takes
Those,
down your threat levels, man.
yeah, yeah.
It does exactly that.
I mean, you're so right. I remember a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was really stressed out. I didn't sleep at all. I was stressed out about something that we were going through. And I woke up. Well, not even woke up. I sent a message to my guys, said, "Hey, uh, find somebody to take my place today. I'm not going to be able to play. I didn't sleep all night. I'm
Right, right,
kind
right,
of
right, right.
distressed, everything."
Hmm.
And then I heard this voice say to me, "Dude, if you stay in this house and you continue to stress over what you're stressing about, you're just going to go down. Get your ass up,
Hmm.
take a shower, go to the golf
Hmm.
course."
Hmm.
So exactly what you said. The minute my foot touched the grass, I
Hmm.
immediately felt better.
Yeah.
By the time I got to the seventh hole, I was a new person. I actually wound up birdieing the hole. I felt totally renewed. I felt fresh. I had a clearer vision. My life changed within that 7 holes.
It's all, it all comes down to threat management. You had a threat, and you were, and even when we talk about the spinning and the vertigo, that's your vestibular ocular reflex. That's your system. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And concussions, meds, stress levels, those are all things that impact it. And
Mm-hmm.
so quite often when you're getting that, it's saying, hey man, don't move. We don't trust ourselves moving.
Right.
And that stress bucket, those things that make you not sure of where you are, those things are starting to pour out of the bucket. They're just getting too much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're able to find that one thing or that thing that starts taking it down, then once again, I'm going to cut on that, but it puts you in a place where you're no longer under a threat. Your body is not going, okay, we just got to keep him alive for another few minutes. No, it's saying, oh, okay, now we can perform a little bit because we're not screaming. It's not the fire alarm is off.
Right. Yeah. You hit it on the head. It's like walking meditation for me. Really, I feel the most at ease. I feel the most
Mm-hmm.
alive. I remember telling my doctor, and she looked at me like I was crazy. I think we were talking about end of life stuff. There's a document that you have to give them if you want to be DNR or not. And I said, the moment that I can't golf anymore, and I'm not talking about golfing great. I'm just talking about the minute I can't functionally go out and swing a golf club, I have no longer any need to be here. And she looked at me like I was crazy. I go, no, no,
Right.
I'm extremely serious. You don't understand. I'm really serious. And she
Yeah.
looked at me like, really? I go, no, really? Like, what other purpose? If I can't
Yeah.
function, why do I
Yeah.
need to be here? Why do I need to be a nuisance for anyone? Like,
Hmm.
I can't
Hmm.
physically, and I'm not talking about going out and playing par. I'm just talking about if I cannot physically swing the club,
Absolutely.
I don't need to
Hmm.
be here.
Correct.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
and one of the things that you said that really I thought about just now was the impact of the messages we send the nervous system. When I first time I had vertigo, which was about 3 years ago, it was right after COVID. And so I'm still wondering, like, but we won't go there. I'm not a doctor, neither are you, so we won't
Right.
discuss that.
Right.
But it's very interesting that my vertigo started after my shot. But so I go to the ear, nose, and throat person. They do an Epley maneuver on me. Great, brings me back around after like I think it was my first stint with vertigo lasted maybe 4 months, and
Hmm.
I could really have my balance. Great. And the thing that she said to me that immediately put me in thread again was, okay, you're good now, but you have this for the rest of your life. I'm like, oh, great. But she didn't give me anything to do about it. She just said,
Right, 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 right. She said, "You're screwed up, and you're gonna be screwed up."
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So
thanks.
I remember leaving her office going, okay, that was beautiful. Thanks for that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but let's talk about visualization because one of the things that you've helped me with through this whole process, as
Yeah.
you know, my journey through golf has always been about getting better. Oh yeah, how do I get better? And so for the last few years, I was always trying to gain that extra 10 yards. And you would kindly say to me things, oh yeah, it's a good technique, but that's not for you. Or your body's not really ready to do that. And I would go, yeah, he's not a golfer. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I love my guy, but yeah, I'm a golfer. He doesn't a golfer. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I would absolutely go out within a week period, get injured. So then we're doing recovery on the injury. And this is repetitive. Like I said to people, I'm not stupid, but I am slow.
I watched it.
You watched it, you would laugh at me, and then we would go to recovery again. I get better. Okay, I'm gonna go get those 10 more yards now. And it wasn't until October of 2024
Hmm.
where I said to you, Eric, I go, really? He says, yeah, try visualization. So I started doing visualization. And when I went out to play, I realized, wow, I haven't been on the range. I haven't practiced anything, but my swing is better. And
Yeah.
I experienced that also from when I did the near death experience. The
Hmm.
first thing that I realized a week after I came back, brought me back to life after my 10 or 12 minutes of being coding, that my swing was better. I was more
Yeah.
relaxed or I was
Yeah.
breathing better. And so when I realized that to do the visualization and the breathing, my swing was better. That I was all of a sudden hitting the ball with great contact. And it was a really interesting process of going through that. And I also realized and surrendered to the fact that, okay, Jerome, let's give up the 10 yards. What are your unique strengths in golf? My unique
Hmm.
strengths of golf was my short game, my chipping and my putting. That I'm probably, and my group of guys that I play with, they actually watch me to learn how to chip or putt better.
Yeah.
So why am
Yeah.
I chasing these 10 yards
Hmm.
when I have this ability to score low just on my short game? So talk about visualization and that whole
Hmm.
process.
Well, for you, and for anyone, but for you, what visualization gave you was an ability to get more reps in without having those reps actually do any wear and tear on your body.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Your brain doesn't know. It
mm-hmm,
really doesn't know the difference. So,
mm-hmm,
hmm. I'm going to put it this way. I like watching this, Jack Reacher.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
right.
he's this guy, but he always says something, and he likes to say details matter. And what visualization does, it gives you detailed mental rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
If details matter, which they do, you now can nail it for hundreds, even thousands of reps,
Right.
teaching your body exactly what you want it to do. But those mess ups that hurt your knee or that do this or do that, you get to save a lot
Mm-hmm.
of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done this with a lot of the guys. You work with a lot of basketball players, obviously. These guys have injuries, they hurt ankles and knees and I really started doing this with some these players, and I've got guys that were better shooters after an injury than before because there were certain things they couldn't do. but they could still do visualization. They could still work on their game. And it was a little bit, they kind of looked at me like a little funny in the beginning. And I said, you don't have to take any great class and be super, woo woo about this. Just know what is it you want to do
Right.
and do it in your mind and do
Yeah.
it repeatedly.
Yeah.
Hey man, wow. You're getting results. And for you, you were able to get so many more reps in
Mm.
without any vertigo, without any trying to get an extra 10 yards here and there and selling out for something that maybe wasn't there to have.
Hmm.
But even if it was there to have, you didn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't need it. It
Yeah.
was just a
Yeah.
thing. That's what I like about the visualization. It utilizes those same neural pathways as your actual
Hmm.
doing the thing does.
Hmm.
The thinking about the thing and the doing the thing, your brain is getting the same stimulus.
Yeah. You mentioned, talk a little bit about neural pathways in a very phase, like the
So
listeners.
I'm just simply, those are messages, neurons that
Mhm.
go from your brain to your spinal cord, and back. These are just messages that are telling you how you're moving.
Hmm.
And there's also part of your brain in the back, your cerebellum. It makes a comparison. So if you want to move a certain way,
Hmm.
you're going to kind of know in real time or within a very short amount of time, did you accomplish what you wanted to do?
Right.
And you just get to keep repeating that and getting that feedback. And so you're on the course doing it
Hmm.
and getting the feedback. Okay, this is where I meant to swing. This is how I meant to do this. It checks back there. It runs up there. Hey, yeah, you're a little bit off. Coordinated a little bit better. When you're doing visualization, you can just nail it a
Hmm.
lot
Yeah.
consistently because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your dream.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a powerful tool. And I'm sure that there are a lot of pro level athletes, they use it a lot. I'm sure like
Oh,
people marvel at LeBron. And I'm sure
oh,
LeBron is using visualization because at 40, he's not trying to do a lot of damage to those bones,
no,
those muscles.
no.
He's visualizing, and he has a wealth of experience to do that.
Yeah,
It's
another thing that I thought, and I want to touch on this with
Mhm.
you and with golf. I think that once you also use more of an external focus,
Mhm. Mhm.
a lot of times we want to feel the movement. You want to drop the shoulders and squeeze the glutes and turn and fire the core, and that's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I noticed the moment I would just say to you, "Hey, man, I'll give you an exercise," and I just say, "You know what? Take this, throw it at the wall."
Mhm.
That external focus. Now all of a sudden you go from beak to boom,
Mhm.
boom.
Mhm.
And that is a great tool, especially I know it really works well for you and you don't get too much in your head,
Right.
but it also works. I think that golf and girls at golf, once you're no longer in those beginner stages,
Yeah.
just giving you a target and saying hit it is a very good learning tool.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned is what I love about golf is that it's extremely insightful and you have to take notice. And the more that I can notice what's going on with me on the golf course, the better my swing is. So if I'm off, like since yesterday, I was playing out at Woodley Golf Course. And initially, I started out double bogey, double bogey. For most people, that'd be the end of the round. So for the next 16 holes, they're technically thinking about what I technically need to do.
Hmm.
My wife, Gail, she said something about her own breathing, then squeezed my bubble. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
breathe on those 2 holes that I breathe at all.
Hmm. Reminder.
And the research came back and said, no, you didn't. The minute I started breathing, my game
Hmm.
I wound up getting 2 birdies, winning all sorts of pot money.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I have seen other golfers, and this even happened for me, used to happen for me, start out double bogey, the whole round would be over. But if you watch the pros, their ability to recover from a bad
Hmm.
shot
Hmm.
and to go on to what's next is amazing. And that's one of the things that I've noticed about my game is that
Hmm.
I don't get stuck in the past. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's over. This is in front of me right now. Get
Yeah.
present and move
Yeah.
forward.
Listen to what you're saying. Every guy that we ever talk about being on a basketball court,
Mm-hmm.
that's a guy, that's a dude that can get buckets.
Mm-hmm.
When buckets are needed, they do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And miss ain't nothing but a learning experience.
Uh, yeah.
And the next one is the one that's necessary. You need that. You
Mm-hmm.
got to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That ability to be present in your body, which is one of the
Hmm.
things I love about the work that I do with you, how you allow for exploration. And you'll say to me sometimes, let's see how this works with you.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's important that even in anything in life, people talk about, I think Yogi Berra used to talk about this theory and this practice, but you can't theorize practice. And that's what you provide. You take theory and you put it into practice. Talk a little
Hmm.
bit about that.
Yeah. You got to test things out, but you got to test them out to find out if it's going to work. But you want to test it out in a manner that's, so what I do, there's some science to this. There's a lot of science to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's some art to it as well. I don't know if it's 50-50, 70-20, 30, whatever. But part of this is me being able to say, hey, man, go and try this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go and try it and you go, I don't know, it felt pretty good. What I need to be able to do is take a look at you and say, did he just get worse? And you have to have a sit. So I can have you do a stretching movement. I can see, your, is your body less mobile after doing that than it was before doing that?
Mm-hmm.
If it is, that right there at that time wasn't the thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean that we can't try that movement or whatever? No. But what it does mean is maybe we have to do it a little less
Mm-hmm.
or a little slower or on another day.
Right. Right.
But the only way to build up your vocabulary is to butcher a word every now and then figure out how to get it right. Some people just keep butchering words, but you got to play around with a word, and then once you learn it and you look at it, then you got to try to go use it in a sentence a few times,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you got to use it in front of people, and them having gone, does he know what he's talking about? But you got to, and so you've got to pick up these things, and then you've got to take them and see what you can do with it and would it fit. Otherwise, you're not going to grow. And you talked about neural pathways. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that plasticity, the ability to create new avenues, I'm not going to say it's a good thing or a bad thing, plasticity, because it's what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You can make yourself, you can sit down in front of the TV every day for 2 weeks. That's neuroplasticity. You really got good at sitting in front of a TV.
Mm-hmm.
Not good.
Right.
Or you can explore your movement and getting better and branching out here and getting new movement patterns or refining movement patterns. That's using plasticity in a good way. That's taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
Or learning new things or creating new ideas.
Yeah. That makes me recall something. I don't know if this plasticity, and I forgot the term. Let's see if I can help you share the term with me and the audience. I recall walking on a golf course, and as a track runner that hasn't ran, I used to run road races up until about age 40. I'm walking on a golf course, and all of a sudden, my body is experiencing my life as a runner. I'm going through this high. Like, it's like my whole body was endorphins, everything was kind of kicking in. I just recall feeling like I was a runner again.
I think for you, part of this too is you were those competitive juices that you
Mm-hmm.
were able to stoke for so many years
Mm-hmm.
came to the forefront. And
Yeah.
we talk about golf being meditation for you,
Mm-hmm.
but there
Oh,
is
yeah.
a competitive element there.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, yeah, yeah,
For
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, let's just be honest. There's some hunter. There's some hunter in there.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because yesterday I self-invited myself. I self-invited myself into this group that plays on Mondays out at Woodley Golf Course, and they uninvited me from now on because.
Okay, okay,
But
yeah,
my brother, you didn't want me to come. He
right.
said, "Yeah, you just took money from me." I go, "Yeah, you out here." Yeah, they're out here drinking, stuff. This
Yeah,
is out
yeah.
here taking. No wonder you didn't want me to come on Mondays because I am
Cut into
competitive.
his part. You cut into his part-time job.
Exactly. So we talked about earlier when we started, whatchamacallit, and how important it is to find that whatchamacallit. Do you have any unnameable things that you still want to do? Yeah, any still more whatchamacallits that you're searching for, looking for, exploring?
I'm always looking for and exploring, and but I'm going to be honest. To progress human movement
Mm,
and to do it for me to get people better in a shorter amount of time is always the number one thing. I'm fascinated with it,
mm,
like literally fascinated with it. And right now I'm doing a lot of work. My mom is older, and even me trying to figure out how to extend her strength and keep her mind sharp. And it's just everyone's an athlete. It just depends on what your sport is. And making athletes better is just kind of an obsession, including myself. It's kind
yeah.
of an obsession for me. And so, like, you're out on that golf course, you're having fun. Yeah, there's stuff I like to watch. There are things I like to do, but man, I'm never more happier, and I'm not ever happier and more into my own spaces when I'm reading about or experimenting with human function and human movement and trying to figure out how to get better at something
Yeah.
and looking at what other people are doing and why that didn't work. And it's just it's
Mhm.
that's why I say of all those I was I got my thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got my thing. And whatever it is, if I want to travel? Yes. And when I travel, I'm gonna be doing my thing there.
Yeah. So you're talking about, I think what makes us kindred spirits is we both are very curious. And that's what I love about you. When I met you, because I was in searching my, whatchamacallit, I remember with my son. My son had some early injuries when he was playing basketball. And
Yeah.
I never, if I would have found you when he was playing basketball,
Yeah.
I just always wondered what would have been different. But the
Hmm.
curiosity, as you said to me last week, that for me, if you're a 6-year-old and I see something that you're doing that I want to
Hmm.
learn, I'm going to
Hmm.
say, "Hey, I'm in class. I'm in it."
Yeah.
I don't look at
Yeah.
age or anything.
No.
I talk to a lot of my clients who are executives, senior leadership, CEOs, and I ask
Hmm.
them about reverse mentoring, and they look at me
Yeah.
like reverse mentoring. I said, "Yeah." I said, "You have
Yeah.
people you have someone, you have a 28-year-old on your team that can
Hmm.
probably teach you some things."
Absolutely.
The resistance is interesting. And,
I yeah.
and I'm going like, why wouldn't you want to learn from whoever can teach you?
Yeah. I think some of that has to do with age and maybe ego and just yeah, if they got the goods, let's
Mm-hmm.
get the goods.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
that's right.
it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about as we get closer to wrapping up. You have a
Hmm.
new program that you're working on developing. You know, talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I want to call it fall prevention or I'm not exactly. I think what I'm going to call it is survive falling.
Mm.
I'm going to figure out what exactly to call it, but what it basically is if you're on the floor, how do you get up?
Mm-hmm.
If you're falling, how do you do it in the safest way possible? Balance, strength, visual stuff, vestibular stuff. How do we address all of those things
Mm-hmm.
to keep us safe? Because falling is one of the that's what's killing us almost more than anything else right now, and it's responsible for more emergency room visits than almost anything else, and not only for seniors, but actually pretty much the whole population. So how do we do it safely? How do we prepare ourselves? We talked earlier about being present.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is being present. So what I'm trying to do is not just do how to get up or just how to fall, but I'm trying to create an awareness first.
Mhm.
And what are the things that are are the top risk factors?
Mm.
Be aware of those. I would like to share that with people. Be aware of it. But then going even further, how do you stay upright if you do fall? Because we're gonna fall.
Mhm.
How do you do it? And don't let it, if it's not your first rodeo, if you've done this a few times in practice, you're probably going to do a lot better surviving it. And then what do you do if you're down there? How do you make sure you're safe? Why is it so important to get up?
Yeah.
So these are the kind of things that I'm looking at to bring in the very near future.
Yeah. Great. That's going to be awesome. And I just could be I could be a witness to just because of some work that Eric and I did
Hmm.
over the years. About
Hmm.
3 months ago, I was carrying a jug of water out of my house and I missed
Hmm.
the step. And my brain said, man down. But my
Hmm.
body responded by go, no, we actually can manage this. I landed and I
Yeah.
didn't fall. And I
Hmm.
absolutely would have fallen and splattered if we
Hmm.
had done the work.
Absolutely,
It
for sure.
wasn't even, it wasn't a mechanical thing. It was just
So correct.
yeah,
And that's what it has to be.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It-
And also, it has to be the presence of mind. Is if you're carrying that water and you can't see your feet, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
yeah, exactly. You
What are
told
you
a
doing?
story. Tell your roof story a bit. That was a
Oh,
hilarious
so
story.
yeah. So this is really talking about threat and about how we progress over the years. So I was known as a kid after fun. I would climb my mom's roof
Mhm.
and I would tell people, "Hey, I'm gonna jump off the roof," and I would make a dollar or two. Y'all know you're not gonna make it. Oh, so I'd say, "All right, let's make a bet."
Mhm.
And so then I climb up on the roof and I jump. And I knew that if I made myself small and was able to dissipate the force and roll out of it, I'd be fine.
Mhm.
And I just do stuff all the time up there. Everybody would come, "Oh, I got a room, watch him jump," and it was just a funny thing. But this is me as a teenage guy, and then, I've done my fair share of martial arts, and falling and rolling
Mhm.
is an important part of this. And, getting up on the roof, the height, the whole deal. Well, one day my mom's roof, the one that I've jumped off of 100 times, needed to be fixed. It was leaking.
Mhm.
So I had a roof guy over and he said, "Hey man, I'm going to go up there." He said, "Oh yeah, I found the problem. Climb on up. I want to show you what the problem is." So I got up there and I'm about to head over to him. And then I realized I'm scared to stand up. I said, "Hey, hang on, hang on. I'll be out in a minute." And he watched me crawl. Yeah, I do a lot of crawling movements. They came in handy. I was scared.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
so that's just where, things come and the brain gets to a certain place. And I was like, I wasn't having it.
Great.
Yeah,
And,
that's a difference.
I missed the opportunity because when I was in the gym on Sunday, you actually physically showed us what it looked like.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
wish
yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I would have had a video on that because it was
Yeah,
hilarious. It
yeah.
was
I'm
hilarious.
not proud of that, by the way. This is not a glowing moment in my athletic, bragging about my
Yeah,
athletic prowess.
yeah, yeah,
This is true, man. It's just
yeah,
where it's
yeah,
at. Yeah.
yeah. So, in closing, is there anything that you want to share about what you're doing, how people reach you?
I'm just always available for training or for questions or whatever. I just the red zone at yahoo.com.
Mhm.
You want to train, you want to be a trainer, you want to work with me, you want to just talk to about how I philosophically look at training.
Mhm.
Pretty much anything. You can shoot me an email and chop it up if that's okay.
Yeah. Just to note that Eric does do some virtual training. He has some clients in other states that he works with. So definitely
Other,
reach out to
other
him.
countries, yeah.
So, Eric, thank you, my brother.
Welcome.
It's not just the reps, the stretches, or the structure, but the
Uh,
presence. You
yeah,
were there when I was trying to find my way back, man.
yeah,
And I was deep, deep into the forest. I was scared. And like, what
yeah,
does this mean?
yeah,
But my body
yeah,
didn't feel like my body didn't
yeah,
feel like my own body. It didn't feel like home. and my
Yeah.
breath
Yeah.
felt borrowed. I felt like I was on borrowed time.
That near-death experience, there's still a lot of stuff we all need to learn from you and we all need to get from you. So
Yeah,
you remember that part too, man.
yeah,
That's a thing. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because when this happened to me initially, after I recovered, I was home and I had that gadolinium in my body and I was trying to get it out. I got really angry and I felt like I got robbed, that they took something from me. And I remember going to dinner with Gail. And as we were driving up to the place where we are going to eat, it dawned on me that no, this has been a gift in a very strange way. And your purpose right now is to share this gift with the world. So that's what this
Absolutely.
podcast really came about. And if you look on my YouTube site, Jerome Green Coaching, you'll see the
Mhm.
story of the MRI and all
Yeah.
those other things. But this is really my purpose. I've been given this task to share
Yeah.
this with the world.
Yeah.
And what I love about you, Eric, is you didn't rush me. You reminded me that the healing has its own rhythm. And just like golf is a rhythm sport. It's once you have the technique down, I really encourage you to let go of the technique and just find your own mastery of your own rhythm, understand your body and how it works. Do that
Absolutely.
visualization.
Yeah.
You help me trust movement again, trust myself again. So for anyone listening who's been knocked down, worn out, or wondering if they can come back from something, listen to this man, listen to this podcast, reach out to him. Because sometimes the comeback isn't about getting stronger. It's about still getting honest and getting great movement and moving with love. Eric, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you beyond words. And to everyone tuning in, stay curious, stay in motion, and remember, sometimes your whatchamacallit shows up in a form of a trainer or turns out to be a lifeline, or it can show up in a near-death experience. Until
Yeah.
next time, I'm Jerome Green, and this is Near Death to Life, finding your whatchamacallit. Thank you, Eric. This has been great.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks for watching the podcast, taking the time out of your day to do that. Please drop your comments, what you liked or disliked, or if you have a different viewpoint. I really look forward to seeing those comments, and I will get back to you. And take time, if you can, to subscribe to my channel, Near Death to Life. Have a great day.